Maxed Out Man, helping you become the man you were made to be.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Maxed Out Man podcast. This is one of our maxed out motivations. Want to be able to share with you some shorter form content to be able to just talk to you directly, kind of give you some logistical ways to do these things to think about, things to inspire. One of the things I want to talk about is identity. Identity is something that is kind of like all over the place in our society, right? It's whatever I identify with, and that's who I become. That's who the people I hang around with, the things that I do, the clothes that I wear. Identity is something that can really screw with us as a man, right? Because we can see ourselves as a provider, father, as a husband, as a son, as a member of our community, men's groups, golfing buddies, football team, flag football, whatever you happen to do, that can be our identity. So identity becomes less of who we are and more of kind of what we do. One of the things in Western society, especially in the US, is when you meet someone, what's the first question? What do you do? Right? Like for me as an entrepreneur, as someone that has multiple businesses and multiple brands, that always becomes a very difficult question to answer, honestly, because they're like, hey, what do you do? Well, I run this brand. What I started to do is just tell people I'm a drug dealer, which I'm not in any way. It doesn't even relate to the pharmaceutical industry, what I do. But that gives people a context, and it kind of stops that conversation and makes it a little bit funny. But when people ask me what I do, it's less important. Like I want to explain to them that it's not really about what I do. And this is very awkward at a cocktail party or, church or whatever it is. And so I don't really do this. But I want to do is explain to them that it's less about what I do than who I'm trying to become and how I see myself. And so a big thing we talk about at Maxed Out Man is to try to be who you are made to be, which being who you're made to be is something that gets people a little flustered sometimes, and it can hopefully be challenging. It may be discouraging at times. But as a Christian myself, and I know everybody believes different things, I believe I was built and made by God in order to do certain things. That's called my purpose. And so for my purpose, that becomes my identity. My identity is someone that is trying to live out this purpose in my life. So I'm trying to do all of those things to live out that purpose. And that can be vocationally, spiritually, communally, from my hobby standpoint. All of those things can fit into what my purpose is and what my identity is. But so when I meet those people, I want to talk about more about who I'm becoming, because I'm trying to live into my identity. When my kids were younger, we would talk about, hey, this is something that you feel, but don't allow that to become your identity, where it's like a goth or a punk person or, whatever these different things are. I think our tendency is to put that on these labels or these feelings or these leanings onto us as an identity. So who you are as a person isn't necessarily who you do. So as a man, or what you do. So as a man, one of the things I try to encourage people and men about specifically is to figure out what your purpose is and then build your identity around that. So if you feel like your purpose is to serve your family in the best possible way, then that becomes your identity. And everything that you're doing is going to serve that identity. And from an identity standpoint, you want that to be the best identity that it can be. So you want to be the best father, the best husband, the best provider, provide the best care emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. So as that identity, if you're looking at that, you're going to do things like cherishing your wife and doing nice things for them and talking to your kids and apologizing to them when you're a jerk. And, all of those things, if that identity is father or husband, then those things that you do would support that. So the opposite of that is putting on an identity like I'm a vice president of business development, right? Like, if that's your identity, the problem with that is that's going to be fleeting. That's something that you may do for 10, 15, 20 years or more, but that becomes your sole focus for your life, which to each his own. I've been in the corporate world. I've been an entrepreneur. I can see that as your identity is not going to be, and to use this big word I like to use, it's actually a small word, big meaning, is edifying, right? Something that's edifying is something that inspires, educates, and helps build you up. So it's not going to be something like that, because at the end of the day, you always have someone else kind of dictating your life. So building your life and identity around a job, a vocation, is probably going to be something that's a little bit more difficult. So guys tend to do that, right? So we tend to isolate ourselves. We're going to work. We're going to be providers. But that's not something that's going to build you up. So change that focus, and to make that, this is part of something I do, and I want to use that job. Sometimes very important in a company, sometimes less so, depending on how you view that. I think all jobs are important. But if you look at that as a way to build yourself into the identity that's going to be long-term, more satisfying, more edifying, more inspiring to you, say husband, father, community leader, but using that vocation as a way to make that possible and to actually help you along the way. You can go into your job in order to serve the people around you. You can love the people around you. You can build those people up. So that becomes part of your identity as someone that does those things. So identity is very, very important. So take steps today to really take a step back, make some notes. Take a note card out, computer out, note in your phone, whatever it is, and say, who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? And what does that process look? What is my identity? And list the things, not only that are important to you and the things that are the goals, but I would also list what things I'm doing now that actually identify me, that I actually am identifying, and see where those things have a bit of a diversion, and then figure out a way to get those things that you're doing into fitting more into what your identity is supposed to be based on your purpose. So, hey, I'm Kevin Davis from Maxed Out Man. This is our Maxed Out Man motivation. So I hope that helps. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
If you're looking to really maximize your life and become the man you were made to be, head over to maxedoutman.com and get your journey started today.